Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Terra Nova, staring at the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. The alien ship looked like it was made of pure crystal, catching the light from Jupiter and throwing rainbows across space. It was 3 times the size of his exploration vessel, but it moved with the grace of a dancer. "Sir, they're sending another message," said Lieutenant Sam Brooks from the communications station. His voice was steady, but Jake could hear the excitement underneath. After all these years of wondering if humans were alone in the universe, they finally had their answer. "Put it through," Jake said. The voice that came through the speakers was soft and musical, speaking perfect English. "Greetings, beings of the vessel Terra Nova. I am Ambassador Zephyr 9 of the Galactic Federation. We have been monitoring your species and wish to make formal contact. Please do not be afraid." Jake almost laughed. He wasn't afraid. He was thrilled. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel Terra Nova. We welcome contact with the Galactic Federation. We're honored to meet you." There was a pause. Then the alien voice returned, sounding puzzled. "You say you are honored. This is unexpected. Most species are terrified when they first encounter us. Are you perhaps in shock?" "No shock here," Jake replied. "Just excited to finally meet our neighbors." Another pause, longer this time. "Neighbors. Yes, we must discuss this urgently. Captain Morrison, we need to meet in person. For your safety, we will construct a neutral meeting place. Please wait." The crystal ship began to glow, and Jake watched in amazement as it started building something in the space between their vessels. Beams of light stretched out from the alien ship, and within hours, a small space station took shape. It looked like a flower made of metal and glass, spinning slowly in the void. "Incredible," whispered Dr. Lisa Parker, the mission's lead scientist. She had joined Jake on the bridge to witness history being made. "They built that in less than 4 hours. Our fastest construction crews would need weeks." "Sir," Sam called out, "Ambassador Zephyr 9 is requesting that you and Dr. Parker join them on the station. They're also asking that we bring someone who can speak for all humans." Jake nodded. That would be Robert Kane, their diplomatic specialist. The man had been preparing for this moment his entire career, though he probably never imagined it would actually happen. 2 hours later, Jake found himself floating in the docking bay of the alien station. The artificial gravity was lighter than Earth normal, and the air smelled like flowers. Everything was clean and white and perfect, like the inside of a hospital. Ambassador Zephyr 9 was waiting for them, and Jake had to fight not to stare. The alien was tall and thin, with skin that seemed to glow from within. It looked fragile, like it might break if Jake shook hands too hard. Behind the ambassador stood 2 other aliens, both equally delicate and beautiful. "Captain Morrison, Dr. Parker, Diplomat Kane," the ambassador said, bowing slightly. "Welcome to Mercy Station. We built it specifically for this meeting, with an atmosphere and gravity suited to your physiology." "Thank you," Jake said. "This is amazing. How did you learn our language so quickly?" "We have been observing your species for some time," Zephyr 9 replied. "We wanted to understand your situation before making contact. Please sit. We have much to discuss." They sat around a table that seemed to be made of solidified light. The aliens moved with careful, graceful motions, as if they were afraid of breaking something. "First," the ambassador said, "we must express our deep sympathy for your species. We cannot imagine the suffering you must endure on your Deathworld." Lisa blinked. "Deathworld? Your planet Earth," explained one of the other aliens. "We have studied it extensively. The extreme temperatures, the violent weather, the poisonous atmosphere, the predatory life forms. It is classified as a Class 12 Deathworld in our database. We are amazed that any intelligent life managed to evolve there at all." Jake and Lisa exchanged glances. Robert Kane leaned forward, his diplomatic training kicking in. "I think there might be some misunderstanding. Earth isn't a Deathworld to us, it's our home. We're quite comfortable there." The aliens looked shocked. Zephyr 9's translucent skin seemed to grow paler. "Comfortable. But the radiation from your sun, The unstable weather patterns, the seismic activity, the biological hazards. You mean sunshine, rain, earthquakes, and animals? Lisa asked. Those are just normal parts of life on Earth. Normal? The ambassador's voice rose in pitch. Your planet experiences temperature variations that would kill most Federation species. Instantly. Your atmosphere contains oxygen at levels that are toxic to 80% of known life forms. Your world is constantly bombarded by cosmic radiation that would sterilize entire populations of civilized worlds. Jake was starting to understand. These aliens came from a very different kind of world than Earth. What's your home planet like? Ambassador? Serenity Prime has a perfectly controlled climate, Zephyr 9 said proudly. The temperature varies by only 2 degrees throughout the entire year. We have no dangerous weather, no predatory species, no toxic plants. Our atmosphere is carefully balanced and we have shields that protect us from all harmful radiation. That sounds nice, Jake said carefully. It actually sounded incredibly boring to him, but he didn't want to be rude. Which is why we must help you, the ambassador continued urgently. The Galactic Federation has many suitable worlds where your species could be relocated. Peaceful planets with stable climates and safe ecosystems. We can begin evacuating your population immediately. Evacuating? Robert Kane's diplomatic smile never wavered, but Jake could see the surprise in his eyes. That's very generous, but we don't need to be evacuated. Humans have lived on Earth for hundreds of thousands of years. We've built cities, created art, developed technology. Earth is our home. The 3 aliens conferred among themselves in rapid musical tones. Finally, Zephyr 9 turned back to the humans. We understand that you may have formed emotional attachments to your Deathworld, but you must think of your survival. No species can thrive under such conditions indefinitely. The stress alone must be overwhelming. Lisa couldn't help but smile. Ambassador, I think you're overestimating how dangerous Earth is to us. Yes, we have challenges, but humans are very good at adapting. We've learned to work with our environment, not against it. But the constant threat of death, another alien said. What constant threat? Jake asked. I mean, sure, there are risks in life, but that's true everywhere, isn't it? The aliens stared at them in silence. Finally, Zephyr 9 spoke, his voice full of concern. We fear that your species may be suffering from a form of survival trauma that prevents you from recognizing your dire situation. This is not uncommon among Deathworld survivors. We have seen it before. With respect, Ambassador, Robert Kane said gently, we're not suffering from trauma. We're genuinely happy on Earth. It's a beautiful, diverse world with endless opportunities for growth and discovery. Beautiful? One of the aliens whispered. You find your Deathworld beautiful? Absolutely, Lisa said with enthusiasm. Earth has mountains and oceans, forests and deserts, countless species of plants and animals. Every day brings something new to discover. The aliens looked at each other with what Jake was beginning to recognize as deep worry. They clearly thought the humans were either lying or completely insane. Ambassador Zephyr 9 stood up slowly. Captain Morrison, we believe your species needs time to process this information. We are prepared to offer you safe passage to observation worlds where you can gradually adjust to the idea of leaving your Deathworld behind. We understand this is difficult, but please consider the future of your children. Jake stood as well, extending his hand for a handshake. The ambassador looked at the offered hand with obvious fear, as if Jake might accidentally crush his delicate fingers. We appreciate your concern, Jake said, letting his hand drop. But I think you'll find that humans are tougher than you expect. Perhaps we could arrange for some cultural exchanges. Let some of your people visit Earth and some of ours visit your worlds. The aliens looked horrified at the suggestion, but Zephyr 9 nodded politely. We will consider it. For now, please return to your vessel and discuss our offer among your crew. We will remain here for several days to give you time to make the right decision. As they walked back to their shuttle, Lisa shook her head, in amazement. They actually think we're victims, she said quietly. They can't believe we choose to live on Earth. This is going to be interesting, Robert Kane murmured. I've trained for a lot of diplomatic scenarios, but never one where the aliens want to rescue us from our own planet. Jake looked back at the beautiful crystal ship floating near the station. Somewhere inside, 3 worried aliens were probably planning humanity's salvation from the terrible Deathworld called Earth. He couldn't wait to see their faces when they learned what humans were really capable of. Dr. Alex Turner had seen many strange things in his 20 years as a ship's doctor, but nothing had prepared him for this. The alien medical bay looked like something from a dream, all soft curves and gentle lights. Everything was white and clean, and the air hummed with technology he couldn't even begin to understand. Healer Wisp 7 glided toward him on legs so thin they looked like they might snap in a strong breeze. The alien's skin was so pale it was almost transparent, and Alex could see delicate veins pulsing underneath. When Wisp 7 spoke, the voice was barely above a whisper. Dr. Turner, thank you for agreeing to this examination. We must understand the full extent of the damage your Deathworld has inflicted upon your species before we can help you. Alex tried not to smile. After Captain Morrison's report about the first meeting, the entire crew had been briefing on how seriously the aliens took Earth's supposed dangers. Happy to help, Healer Wisp 7, though I should mention that we don't consider ourselves damaged. The alien's large eyes widened with what looked like pity. Of course you would say that. Survival trauma often prevents species from recognizing their own suffering. Please bring in your test subject. Lieutenant Sam Brooks entered the medical bay, looking relaxed and curious. He was a typical human specimen, medium height, solid, build, with the kind of easy confidence that came from growing up on Earth. To Alex, Sam looked perfectly healthy. To Wisp 7, he apparently looked like a disaster. The alien healer recoiled when Sam walked in, pressing a delicate hand to what Alex assumed was its chest. By the eternal peace, Wisp 7 whispered. The damage is even worse than our sensors indicated. What damage? Sam asked, looking down at himself. I feel fine. 2 more alien medical assistants entered the room, both carrying what looked like scanning devices. They approached Sam carefully as if he might explode at any moment. Please stand very still, one of them said in a voice like wind chimes. We are going to scan your biological systems. Try not to move suddenly. Sam shrugged and stood still, while beams of soft light played across his body. The aliens watched their instruments with growing horror, making little gasping sounds. Healer, one assistant said urgently. His internal temperature is 47.3 universal degrees. That should be fatal. I know, Wisp 7 replied sadly. And look at his muscle density, his bones. This species has been forced to develop physical structures that would be considered armor plating on most worlds. Alex frowned. Excuse me, but Sam's temperature is perfectly normal for a human, about 98.6 Fahrenheit, which is what we expect. The alien stared at him. Normal? Wisp 7 asked faintly. That temperature would boil the blood of most Federation species. What's your normal body temperature? Sam asked, curiously. 22 universal degrees, one of the assistants answered. Anything above 25 is considered a dangerous fever. Alex did some quick math in his head. 22 universal degrees would be about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. These aliens had body temperatures lower than a cool spring day on Earth. Now we will test your digestive capabilities, Wisp 7 announced, producing a tray of what looked like colorful fruits and vegetables. Please identify which of these items your species can safely consume. Sam looked at the tray and pointed to several items. Well, that looks like an apple. That might be some kind of berry, and I think that's a root vegetable of some sort. They all look edible to me. The alien medical team exchanged horrified glances. Wisp 7's voice shook as he spoke. You just identified our 3 most toxic biological samples. Any one of those items contains enough poison to kill a dozen members of most Federation species. Really? Sam picked up what looked like the apple and examined it. It smells fine to me. Kind of sweet, actually. Do not consume that, Wisp 7 shrieked, lunging forward to knock the fruit from Sam's hand. The healer's touch was so gentle that Sam barely felt it. but the alien acted like he had just prevented a suicide. Okay, Sam said, setting the fruit down carefully. I wasn't actually going to eat it. But are you telling me that humans can eat things that are deadly to other species? Your species processes biological toxins that serve as chemical weapons on 17 different Federation worlds. One assistant said, consulting a glowing tablet, your digestive system is essentially a biological waste disposal unit. Alex was fascinated despite himself. What do your species typically eat? Nutritional synthesizers provide perfectly balanced sustenance, WISP-7 explained. No biological matter that has not been completely purified and certified safe. You don't eat actual food? Sam asked. Like plants and animals. The aliens looked sick at the suggestion. Consume other biological entities, WISP-7 whispered. That would be barbaric beyond measure. Alex and Sam exchanged a look. This was going to be a very interesting cultural exchange. Let us continue with the examination, WISP-7 said, trying to regain composure. Lieutenant Brooks, please describe any significant injuries or illnesses you have experienced in your lifetime. Sam thought for a moment. Well, I broke my arm when I was 10 playing football. Had pneumonia when I was 15. Got a pretty bad cut on my leg from a hiking accident last year. Oh, and I had chickenpox when I was 7. The alien medical team went completely silent. Then WISP-7 collapsed into a chair that materialized from the floor to catch him. Healer! The assistants cried, rushing to their superior's side. I will be fine, WISP-7 said weakly. It is just... Lieutenant Brooks, did you say you survived chickenpox? Sure, Sam said, confused. Most kids get it. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal? One assistant squeaked. Chickenpox is classified as a Class 9 extinction event pathogen in our medical databases. Entire planets have been sterilized when even a single case was detected. Alex stared at the aliens. You're telling me that chickenpox, a disease that most human children recover from in a week, could wipe out entire alien civilizations? 73 Federation worlds have been lost to what you call childhood diseases, WISP-7 confirmed, his voice hollow. And you say your young actively contract these pathogens and survive? Not just survive, Sam added helpfully. We become immune to them afterward. That's kind of the point. The alien healer made a sound like air being let out of a balloon. Your immune systems, they do not just fight off deadly pathogens. They remember them and become stronger. That's how immune systems work, Alex said slowly, beginning to understand the scope of the cultural gap they were dealing with. Our immune systems are designed for perfectly clean environments, one assistant explained. Any foreign pathogen is usually fatal. We must live in completely sterile conditions. But then how do you explore space? Sam asked. Space is full of unknown biological hazards. We do not, WISP-7 admitted. Most Federation species never leave their home systems. The risk is too great. Alex felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. How many Federation species actually travel between stars? Perhaps 12 out of several thousand member species. Most are too fragile to survive the journey. Sam whistled softly. And you guys are the ones who travel around making first contact? We are among the most resilient of Federation species, WISP-7 said with what might have been pride. Alex looked at the delicate alien, barely able to stand in Earth-normal gravity, with a body temperature that wouldn't keep a human alive, and an immune system that could be destroyed by a common cold. Healer, Alex said gently, I think we need to discuss what resilience means to humans. Engineer Katie Sullivan chose that moment to enter the medical bay, looking for Sam. She was still wearing her work clothes, covered in grease and metal, shavings from repairing a damaged hull plate. The aliens took one look at her and 3 of them fainted. What did I miss? Katie asked, looking at the unconscious aliens on the floor. I think, Alex said thoughtfully, we're about to learn that everything we consider normal about human life is absolutely terrifying to the rest of the galaxy. Sam grinned. This is going to be fun. Through the medical bay windows, Alex could see the crystal alien ship floating in space, beautiful and perfect and fragile. Inside his chest, his heart beat at a rate that could apparently kill most galactic species, while his immune system casually fought off pathogens that could sterilize worlds. For the first time in his life, Dr. Alex Turner realized that humans might not be the weak, primitive species they had always assumed themselves to be. They might actually be the monsters. Dr. Ben Rodriguez had organized cultural exchanges for 15 years, but nothing had prepared him for this disaster. He stood in the emergency command center on Earth, watching feeds from around the globe as his carefully planned exchange program fell apart in spectacular fashion. "Sir," his assistant called out, "we're getting another emergency signal from the Yellowstone group." Ben rubbed his temples. The Yellowstone incident was already his third crisis of the day, and it wasn't even noon. "Put them through." The screen showed Ranger Tom Wilson standing next to what looked like a small alien spaceship. Behind him, 3 Federation visitors sat inside a transparent emergency shelter, shaking like leaves. "Dr. Rodriguez," Tom said, looking confused, "the aliens are demanding immediate evacuation. They say Yellowstone is about to explode and kill everyone in North America." "What triggered this?" Ben asked, though he suspected he already knew. "Well, we had a small earthquake this morning. Magnitude 2.1. I barely felt it, but the aliens started screaming about seismic instability and volcanic eruption warnings." Ben sighed. "Tell them it's normal. Yellowstone has small earthquakes all the time." Through the shelter's transparent walls, he could see one of the aliens holding what looked like a communication device, probably calling for emergency evacuation ships. "They're not listening," Tom reported. "They keep saying that any seismic activity near a thermal region indicates immediate catastrophic explosion." "Sir," another voice called from across the command center, "we've got a situation in Florida." 2. Ben switched feeds to see Dr. Sarah Kim standing in the Everglades looking apologetic. Behind her, 2 alien visitors were sealed inside what appeared to be a military-grade environmental suit. "The weather alert system issued a thunderstorm warning," Sarah explained. "The aliens went into complete panic mode. They think the lightning is going to kill them." "Lightning can kill them?" Ben asked. "Apparently their homeworld doesn't have electrical storms. They consider any atmospheric electrical activity to be a planetary defense weapon." Ben put his head in his hands. The alien visitors had been on Earth for exactly 6 hours, and they had already declared it uninhabitable 4 times. "Dr. Rodriguez," came another voice. "This is Dr. Mike Chen at the Grand Canyon site." Ben looked up to see Mike standing at the edge of the canyon, looking embarrassed. "Let me guess," Ben said wearily. "The aliens think the Grand Canyon is dangerous too. They're convinced it's evidence of recent massive geological warfare," Mike confirmed. "They can't believe humans built settlements near what they call obvious battle scars from planetary bombardment. It's a natural rock formation that took millions of years to form," Ben said into his microphone. "I explained that, but they think I'm in denial about surviving a military attack." Ben switched to another feed from New York City, where Dr. Lisa Park was dealing with her own crisis. The alien visitors there were staring up at the skyscrapers with obvious terror. "They think our buildings are some kind of defensive structures," Lisa reported. "They can't understand why we build so tall unless we're expecting attacks from above." "Have you explained that we build up to save space?" Ben asked. "I tried, but they think it's impossible for any species to construct something so high without it falling over. They're convinced our cities are elaborate weapons designed to intimidate invaders." Ben was starting to understand that this wasn't going to work. The aliens found everything about Earth absolutely terrifying. Meanwhile, the reports from human visitors to Federation worlds were equally disastrous, but in completely different ways. "Dr. Rodriguez," came a transmission from deep space. "This is Marine Sergeant Maya Thompson reporting from Serenity Prime." The screen showed Maya standing in what looked like a perfect garden, with soft music playing in the background and gentle creatures that looked like floating cotton balls drifting through the air. "What's your status, Sergeant?" Ben asked. "Well, sir, I accidentally broke their most sacred religious artifact." Ben closed his eyes. "How?" "The Federation president wanted to shake hands when we met. I guess I squeezed a little too hard and crushed his fingers. Then when he was writhing on the ground, I tried to help him up and accidentally knocked over this crystal statue thing. How badly is he hurt? Their doctors say he'll need 6 months to recover from what they're calling catastrophic structural damage. Sir, I barely touched him. It was like shaking hands with a soap bubble. Another transmission came in from botanist Chris Walker, who was visiting the Federation's agricultural world. Dr. Rodriguez, I think I caused a diplomatic incident, Chris said, standing in what looked like a sterile greenhouse facility. What happened, Chris? I ate one of their fruits. The locals are calling it an act of biological warfare. Ben stared at the screen. You poisoned yourself? No, sir, I feel fine. But apparently this particular fruit is so toxic that they use it as a pesticide. The locals watched me eat it and started screaming about human suicide missions. Are they treating you as a threat now? They think I'm some kind of super soldier sent to demonstrate human invincibility. They're too scared to come within 50 feet of me. The worst report came from the Federation's core world, where a group of human children on an educational exchange were visiting the Galactic Zoo. Ben watched in horror as 8-year-old Tommy Chen walked up to a massive creature that looked like a cross between a bear and a dragon. The beast was behind energy barriers that flickered and sparked with warning lights. The alien tour guide was explaining to the other visitors that this was the most dangerous predator in known space, a creature so aggressive that it had to be kept in maximum security containment. Tommy pressed his face against the barrier and laughed. It looks just like my hamster back home, Tommy said cheerfully. Can I pet it? The alien tour guide fainted. The other alien visitors began evacuating the area in panic, convinced that the human child was either insane or preparing to release the monster as some kind of weapon. Tommy, his teacher said gently, step away from the scary animal. But it's not scary, Tommy protested. Look, it's just sleeping. My hamster sleeps like that too. Ben watched as Tommy waved at the creature, which opened one massive eye and looked at the boy. Instead of roaring or attacking, the beast made a sound that almost resembled a purr. See? Tommy said happily. It likes me. The remaining aliens, in the zoo, scattered in terror. Ben turned off the feeds and sat back in his chair. His cultural exchange program had lasted exactly 1 day before becoming the worst diplomatic disaster in human history. The aliens thought Earth was a death trap that was actively trying to kill them. Meanwhile, humans were accidentally terrifying the entire galactic community, just by existing normally. His communication system chimed with an incoming message from Ambassador Zephyr 9. Dr. Rodriguez, the alien's musical voice said urgently, we must speak immediately. We are prepared to begin emergency evacuation of your species from your death world. We cannot allow this suffering to continue. Ben looked out his window at the peaceful Earth landscape, where birds were singing and a gentle breeze was moving through the trees. Somewhere out there, alien visitors were cowering in emergency shelters, convinced that this beautiful world was trying to murder them. Ambassador, Ben said carefully, I think we need to have a longer conversation about what constitutes danger. There is no time, Zephyr 9 replied. Your children are approaching galactic apex predators with no fear. Your adults are consuming biological weapons as snacks. Your military personnel are demonstrating combat capabilities that exceed our most advanced weapon systems. We must evacuate your people before your death world completes its psychological conditioning. Ben realized that the aliens weren't just trying to save humans from Earth. They were trying to save the galaxy from humans. Ambassador, he said slowly, what if I told you that Earth hasn't made us into victims? Then what has it made you into? Zephyr 9 asked. Ben looked at the reports from his failed exchange program, where normal humans had accidentally convinced an entire galactic civilization that they were unstoppable super soldiers. I'm not sure, he admitted, but I don't think you're going to like the answer. Commander Rachel Stone stood before the Galactic Federation Council, looking out at thousands of alien delegates from across the galaxy. The massive chamber was beautiful, with crystalline walls that caught and reflected light from a dozen different suns. But there was fear in the air, thick enough to taste. The emergency session had been called after reports reached the council about something called the Void Hunters. Rachel had never heard of them before today, but from the way the aliens spoke. About them, they were the stuff of nightmares. Council Speaker Prime 7 floated at the center of the chamber, his translucent form flickering with nervous energy. "Commander Stone," he said, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast space, "we have called you here because your species may be our only hope." Rachel kept her expression neutral, though inside she was confused. 3 weeks ago, these same aliens had been trying to evacuate humanity from Earth. Now they were asking for help. "What exactly is the threat?" she asked. The chamber filled with whispers and frightened sounds. Prime 7 gestured, and a holographic display appeared in the air above them. It showed a fleet of dark ships moving through space like a swarm of insects. "The Void Hunters," Prime 7 explained. "They are machines, built by a civilization that died out millions of years ago. Their purpose is simple: destroy all organic life in the galaxy." Rachel studied the display. The ships looked efficient and deadly, but she had seen worse things in human war movies. "How many worlds have they attacked?" 47 Federation systems have fallen in the past 6 months, another council member reported. "Every world they touch becomes lifeless rock." "What's your military response been?" Rachel asked. The silence that followed was telling. Finally, Prime 7 spoke again. "Commander Stone, most Federation species have no concept of military response. We are peaceful beings. We have lived in harmony for thousands of years." Rachel blinked. "You don't have armies? Weapons? Any kind of defense?" "Why would we?" asked a delegate from the back of the chamber. "Violence is unknown on civilized worlds. We have negotiation protocols, diplomatic solutions, peaceful resolution methods. Have you tried negotiating with the Void Hunters? They do not respond to communication," Prime 7 said sadly. "They simply arrive, destroy all life, and move on. We have sent our best diplomats, our wisest peacemakers. None have returned." Rachel was beginning to understand the scope of the problem. An entire galactic civilization had evolved without any concept of warfare, and now they faced an enemy that couldn't be reasoned with. "Commander," came a voice from her earpiece. "This is Dr. Nicole Green. I'm in the observation gallery." Rachel touched her communicator. "Go ahead, Doctor. I've been listening to the briefings. These species have never experienced conflict. Resolution through force. Their worlds eliminated all predators, all competition, all environmental pressures that would teach survival skills." That explained a lot. Rachel looked around the chamber at the thousands of delicate, beautiful aliens who had never had to fight for anything in their lives. "What do you need from humanity?" Rachel asked the council. "We need you to teach us how to survive," Prime 7 said simply. "Your species understands warfare in ways we cannot comprehend. You have lived with conflict your entire evolutionary history." Rachel thought about that. Humans had been fighting for survival since the beginning of time. Not just against each other, but against predators, diseases, natural disasters, and the harsh environment of Earth itself. Every human alive was descended from winners of countless battles. "I need to understand your capabilities," Rachel said. "What resources do you have?" "Our construction technology is advanced," one delegate offered. "We can build ships, space, stations, habitable worlds, manufacturing. We can produce any material or device we can design." "What about your people? How many?" "The Federation represents over 3,000 species across 50,000 worlds," Prime 7 said. "Billions of individuals." Rachel felt a chill. The galaxy's most advanced civilization, with technology beyond human imagination and population, in the trillions, was helpless against an enemy that humans might actually be able to fight. "The problem isn't your technology or numbers," she realized. "It's that you don't know how to think like fighters." "Correct," Prime 7 agreed. "We need human tactical knowledge, human strategic thinking, human—" He paused, searching for the right word: human aggression. Before Rachel could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the chamber. Emergency lights flashed, and the holographic display changed to show incoming ships. "Void Hunter Scout Fleet," someone announced. "They've found the Council world." Panic erupted in the chamber. Thousands of aliens began fleeing toward the exits, their musical voices rising in terror. The beautiful, orderly council session dissolved into chaos within seconds. Rachel watched the tactical display with professional interest. 3 small ships moving in a standard reconnaissance pattern. On Earth, this would barely qualify as a minor skirmish. "Commander Stone," Prime 7 called out over the noise. "We must evacuate immediately. The defense fleet will try to buy us time, but—" "What defense fleet?" Rachel asked. 12 of our fastest ships equipped with our most advanced shields." Rachel looked at the display again. 12 lightly armed civilian vessels against 3 military scouts. She had seen this kind of mismatch before in old war documentaries. "Prime 7, order your fleet to fall back, don't engage. But they must delay the enemy while we escape. They'll be destroyed in minutes," Rachel said bluntly. "Recall them now." The chamber was nearly empty now, with only a few dozen aliens remaining. Rachel noticed Dr. Green and Security Chief Officer Dan Murphy making their way down from the observation gallery. "Dan," Rachel called out, "how long until those scouts reach us?" Murphy studied the display with the calm efficiency of a career soldier. 23 minutes at current approach speed. Standard scouting pattern suggests they're looking for defensive capabilities before calling in the main force. Defensive capabilities, Rachel repeated thoughtfully. She looked around at the few remaining aliens, who were staring at her with a mixture of hope and terror. "Commander," Dr. Green said quietly, "these aliens have never seen humans in combat mode. They have no idea what we're capable of when we stop being diplomatic." Rachel nodded slowly. The aliens had spent weeks trying to save humanity from the dangerous death world of Earth. They had seen humans as victims, as survivors of terrible trauma who needed rescue and care. They were about to learn that Earth hadn't made humans into victims. Earth had made humans into predators. "Prime 7, Rachel said, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had been born into a species of warriors. "I need you to patch me through to the human fleet." "What human fleet?" the alien asked, confused. Rachel smiled, and for the first time, Prime 7 saw something in her expression that made him step backward. It wasn't cruelty or madness. It was the look of a predator that had just spotted prey. "The one that's been shadowing your council world for the past week," she said. "Did you really think we'd send our people to meet the galactic government without backup?" She activated her communicator. "This is Stone to Admiral Morrison. We have 3 Void Hunter scouts inbound, with main fleet probably an hour behind them. Time to show our new friends what a Deathworld species can do." The response came back immediately, in Jake Morrison's calm, confident voice. "Copy that, Rachel. Hunter Squadron is moving to intercept. Tell the aliens to watch closely. They're about to get their first lesson in human warfare." Through the chamber's transparent walls, Rachel could see stars beginning to move. The human fleet was decloaking, emerging from positions the aliens hadn't even known were occupied. Prime 7 stared in shock. "How long have you been here?" "Since before the first diplomatic meeting," Rachel admitted. "Humans don't go anywhere without a plan for fighting their way out." The first engagement began 18 minutes later. Rachel watched the tactical display as human ships moved with deadly precision, coordinating their attacks with the kind of tactical awareness that came from millions of years of evolutionary warfare. The 3 Void Hunter scouts, which had terrorized dozens of Federation worlds, lasted exactly 4 minutes against a single human squadron. In the silence that followed, Prime 7 turned to Rachel with something like awe in his voice. "Commander Stone," he said quietly, "what has your death world made you into?" Rachel looked at the tactical display where human ships were already moving to intercept the main Void Hunter fleet that was surely coming. "Survivors," she said simply. "And survivors always win in the end." Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the largest space battle in galactic history unfold before him. The Meridian Nebula stretched across space like a glowing purple cloud, beautiful and deadly. Hidden within its swirling gases were 300 Void Hunter ships, the largest fleet the machines had ever assembled. Arrayed against them were over 1,000 vessels from across the Federation, but Jake knew the numbers meant nothing. Most of those ships were civilian craft with basic shields and no weapons. The real fighting would be done by the 47 human warships scattered throughout the formation. "Admiral," came the voice of Captain Lisa Parker from the Science vessel Terra Nova. "We're detecting massive energy buildups throughout the enemy fleet. They're preparing for a coordinated assault." Jake nodded. The Void Hunters had learned from their earlier defeats. After 3 months of small engagements, they had adapted their tactics. They no longer sent scouts or small groups. This time they were bringing everything. "All human vessels, this is Admiral Morrison," Jake broadcast on the tactical channel. "Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves today. Every alien crew out there is counting on us to show them how this is done." Engineer Katie Sullivan's voice came back from the heavy cruiser New York. "Roger that, Admiral. Human vessels are ready, weapons hot, shields up. Let's show these machines what a Deathworld education looks like." Through the bridge windows, Jake could see some of the alien ships. They were beautiful, elegant things designed for exploration and peaceful contact. Their crews had never fired a weapon in anger, never fought for their lives, never faced an enemy that wanted to destroy everything they loved. But they were here anyway, because humans had asked them to be. "Sir," reported Commander Dan Murphy from the tactical station, "the alien vessels are requesting final instructions." Jake opened a channel to the entire fleet. "All Federation vessels, this is Admiral Morrison. You've trained hard these past months. You've learned to think like fighters, to act like warriors. Today you're not scientists or diplomats or peaceful explorers. Today you're soldiers." Ambassador Zephyr 9's voice came back from the Federation command ship. "Admiral, our crews are frightened. We have never done anything like this before." "Good," Jake replied, and he could hear the surprise in the alien responses. "Fear keeps you alive. Fear makes you careful. Fear makes you fight harder to protect what matters." The Void Hunter fleet began moving forward, their dark ships cutting through the nebula like sharks through water. Jake had studied their patterns for months, learning their tactics, understanding their weaknesses. "Dr. Green," he said to the anthropologist stationed on his bridge, "are you recording this?" Dr. Nicole Green nodded from her observation post. "Every moment, Admiral. The Federation Council wants a complete record of human military doctrine in action." "Then let's give them a show," Jake said. He opened the tactical channel again. "All ships execute Plan Deathworld." What happened next would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. The human ships didn't charge forward like heroes in the movies. Instead, they seemed to vanish, scattering into the nebula and using its swirling gases to hide their positions. The Void Hunters, programmed for direct confrontation, suddenly found themselves fighting ghosts. "Remember," Jake broadcast to the alien crews, "humans don't fight fair. We fight to win." Engineer Katie Sullivan demonstrated this perfectly. Her ship emerged from behind a gas cloud and launched a spread of missiles, not at the enemy ships, but at the asteroids floating nearby. The explosions created a debris field that the Void Hunters had to navigate, slowing their advance and breaking their formation. "Clever," observed Zephyr 9. "You are using the environment as a weapon." "Everything is a weapon if you think like a human," Katie replied cheerfully, then disappeared back into the nebula before the enemy could return fire. The alien crews watched in amazement as human tactics unfolded around them. Captain Sam Brooks used the nebula's electrical storms to mask his ship's approach, emerging at point-blank range to cripple 3 enemy vessels before they knew he was there. Commander Rachel Stone coordinated her squadron to herd enemy ships into a trap, using the nebula's gravity wells to tear apart their formation. "This is impossible," came a transmission from one of the Void Hunter ships. It was the first time the machines had ever spoken during combat. "Your tactics do not follow standard military doctrine." Jake laughed. "Standard military doctrine assumes your enemy wants to survive the fight. Humans assume we might die, so we make sure to take you with us." To prove his point, Lieutenant Chris Walker's ship took critical damage and began losing life support. Instead of retreating, he rammed his dying vessel directly into the enemy flagship, both ships disappearing in a brilliant explosion. The Void Hunters paused their assault, their computer minds struggling to process what they had witnessed. Being had chosen certain death to damage the enemy. It did not compute. "Admiral," came Dr. Green's voice. "The enemy fleet is showing signs of confusion. Their attack patterns are becoming erratic." Jake nodded. The Void Hunters were learning something that no peaceful species had ever taught them. When you fight beings who were forged by a death world, logic and self-preservation meant nothing. Humans would sacrifice everything to protect what they loved. "All Federation vessels," Jake broadcast. "Now you see how death world species fight. We don't just defend. We attack. We don't just survive. We make sure the threat never comes back." The battle raged for 6 hours. When it was over, the Void Hunter fleet was completely destroyed. Not a single machine ship escaped to threaten another world. The cost had been heavy. 15 human ships were lost along with their brave crews. But the Federation fleet, despite their inexperience, had suffered minimal casualties. The humans had protected them, taught them, shown them how to be warriors when the galaxy needed warriors. In the aftermath, as rescue ships moved through the Debris field, Ambassador Zephyr 9 approached Jake's flagship. "Admiral Morrison," the alien said, his musical voice filled with something that sounded like awe. "We owe you an apology." "For what?" Jake asked. "We thought your species needed to be saved from your death world. We thought Earth had damaged you, made you into victims who needed our help." Jake looked out at the stars, thinking of his home planet with its storms and earthquakes, its predators and diseases, its endless challenges that had forged humanity into what they were. "Earth didn't damage us," he said quietly. "Earth made us into exactly what the galaxy needed." Dr. Ben Rodriguez's voice came over the communication channel from the diplomatic vessel. "Admiral, we're receiving formal requests from over 200 Federation worlds. They want human military advisors, human tactical training, human defense systems. And," Jake asked, "they're not asking us to leave our death world anymore," Ben said with a smile in his voice. "They're asking if we'll help them build some backbone of their own." Zephyr 9 floated closer to the bridge windows. "Admiral, the Federation Council has voted. We would like to offer humanity full membership, with one condition." "What condition?" "That Earth becomes the Federation's military headquarters. That humans become our protectors, our teachers, our guardians against the dark." Jake thought about that. A few months ago, the aliens had wanted to evacuate humanity from Earth because they thought it was too dangerous. Now they wanted Earth to become the center of galactic defense because they understood that dangerous worlds created dangerous defenders. "We accept," Jake said, "but on one condition of our own." "Name it." "No more talk about death worlds," Jake said with a grin. "From now on, we call them training grounds." Ambassador Zephyr 9 made a sound that might have been laughter. "Agreed, Admiral. Welcome to the Galactic Federation. We are honored to have you as our guardians." As the human fleet began the journey home to Earth, Jake couldn't help but smile. Humanity had traveled to the stars expecting to find their place as the weak, primitive species in a galaxy of advanced civilizations. Instead, they had discovered that being the children of a death world made them the most important species in the galaxy. Earth hadn't held humanity back. Earth had prepared them to save everyone else.